Sometimes that's how flare-ups go because a lot of the time people they overdo it so much that I think it just builds up a lot of sensitivity in the area and then you'll just kind of turn a corner and you'll start to feel a lot better. So you're in a good spot. I still think till the end of this week I want to maintain the ISOs and then into next week, so the 19th, we can start doing the slow squats and start being a little bit more creative in terms of loading other stuff. This week, I don't know if you saw, there's some glute ham raise, there's some other little stuff here and there, upper body stuff, just to kind of keep some volume in there. You can keep the upper in there. It's really the lower body stuff I just really want you to be diligent with and stay on top of. I'm clicking through here right now and, kind of looking at everything programmed. And give me one second here. I'm just looking at this. So this week, I want to finish up with ISOs. I still think we can get you down to like a 3 on average. And then next week, we're going to start building in some really slow, uh, lightly loaded quarter squats or half squats or something. So let's get the first. I'm going to just put the loads in here, and I want you to progress up slowly. So I'm going to share my screen here, and I'm going to finesse this a bit in a good way. Isaiah, can you give me share screen access? So what we're gonna do here is we're gonna, like I said, we're gonna finish this week out as is, and then this week we're gonna go in and make some adjustments here. So let's go to the 19th. And then so the first set, let's do 20, and this is in kilos. So we'll go
Okay.
20 kilos the first one,
So you
and
mean
the
just the
next,
barbell itself without
yeah,
any weight?
yep, just the bar.
Okay.
And then 30, we'll try 30 and then 35. And I want you on that slow tempo. So you'll see here 4 up, 4 down. I want to maintain that. I'm going to take this upper body work. Do you have a seated calf raise machine?
Yeah, yeah.
All right. So let's do some fun stuff here. We can do ISOs. Keep that there, that there. This is good. Just build in a little bit of volume because that'll be good as we come out of load management to have. We can leave the core in there. This day, you're just doing ISOs again. Let's take this out. Oh, wait, what happened there? There you go. This stuff, I'll just take the upper out for you. We'll keep it super basic here. All right. You don't have any Achilles issues?
No, no.
All right. Let's go here. So band walks, again, we're just going to keep it pretty basic, but this is going to build each week. So this is kind of like the base template of what you're going to be doing Monday, Wednesday, Friday on this, but it's going to build on top of each other and kind of increase in complexity. So remember that this is very dependent on how your body responds. So if you're wondering about timelines and stuff, it really just depends on how you're recovering and how well you're doing in hitting these lifts. So I think you'll be able to get up to 40 keys. By the end of the week, you could probably get up to 45 kilos on that slow quarter squat. And then here, let's let's keep that here for this week. And now we can start to do a little bit of volume on the stuff that won't bother you. So seated calf raises should be fine. That shouldn't be provocative at all. So start with those ISOs. Then you get into this. If you want, you can add in a walking warm up. That might be just to increase volume a little bit. As seemingly irrelevant as this is, it will lay the frame or the groundwork for the stuff to come. You could probably just see how we're just taking very small steps. We are still writing kind of in pencil. So like if something does flare up, it should bounce back by the following lift day. So the big thing is when you're on these heavy slow resistance training on these quarter squats, let's say that on Monday you do the 20 kilos and you bounce back up to like a 6 on this day, but then by this day you're down to a 3 or 4. That's okay. But if your knee goes from, let's say you come to this session, you're a 3, and then this day on Tuesday you're a 7, and then on this Wednesday you're an 8. That means that you need to do ISOs and cut this out. That means that what you did on Monday is too much. Tendons have a latent response to loading. So when you load on Monday, it can the pain from that session or the damage from that session you might not feel for 48 hours. If you go really slow and you're only at a quarter squat, you should be okay. But just keep that in mind that if you do have like a flare up or something like that, what you're going to want to do is not do these quarter squats and just do the rest of the workout. Your goal is to do 3 quarter squat sessions, but if for some reason you have a flare up, then I would just drop it to 2. So skip the Wednesday workout and then try to come back on the Friday workout. You should feel pretty good. If you're still flared up, then we need to start at 20 kilos or do isos for another week. Again, it really depends on how pissed off your knee is, because you overjumped massively, 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago or whatever. Um, so yeah, this is pretty basic, pretty simple, but again, this is the framework that we're going to build on over the next probably 3 4 weeks, and we can add layers of complexity and things like that. I'm just going to stop at 1 week again because I don't want to program out too far, and then you end up in a position where you're SOL. You know what I mean? You're like not really, you're maybe reacting the wrong way, or maybe we anticipated things wrong. So I'm not going to get too far ahead of ourselves or, yourself. We're going to stick with the ISOs for the rest of the week. Following week, I want to do those slow quarter squats, start building in some lower leg work, start building in some posterior chain work. And then hopefully this week, we can increase the quarter squats and then start to add in, RDLs and some other stuff that's actually going to help your performance in the long term. But yeah, it's pretty fundamental stuff here. I'm sure you're familiar with the load management principles because you've done it a handful of times in the past, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
Back. Oh, maybe not. These are all loading. So it must have been the other volleyball player. So yeah, you're actually okay right now. Um, but we'll build on top of that in the coming weeks, and then continue to get into performance training. But your goal is keep doing what you're doing. What you're doing is working. We're seeing it work in the form of your pain levels coming down. You're staying on top of your ISOs, it seems like, and you're not doing things that are aggravating it. You want to trend downward every other day. Or sorry, basically, I mean, week to week for sure. But as we come into this heavy, slow resistance training phase, which we call HSR in research, we want to see your pain levels drop every 48 hours. So if it bumps up at 24, that's fine. But 48 hours later, it should be lower. So each subsequent heavy, slow resistance training session, either the same or lower. And yeah, as we move through this, your load capacity is going to go up, and then we're going to build in the elastic storage, and then we'll get back into jumping. So yeah, timeline wise, depends on how good you are, how compliant you are with the training, and then um, how good you are at listening to your body and understanding like when to not push is really the big thing right now. So what we'd want to do is get a tape measure and see flat footed like this, reach as
Okay.
hard and as high as you can and measure your reach. And then what I
Okay.
would do is I would touch something on this backboard, like put a sticker on your hand and then measure that height and then subtract the difference. So from flat footed to your peak touch. Another way to do it is just see how high above the rim you get. So right now it looks like you're about an inch and a half above the rim. And then you just need to look at what your standing vertical is. If your jump or standing reach is, if you're flat footed, not on the toes, but it doesn't really matter. We're really looking at that to see progression. So for you, it's only a measure of your long-term changes to performance. And we also use it as a metric in terms of fatigue. So for you, right now, in terms of your technique, you're very vertical right here, right? So
Okay.
especially right here. Okay, you're really, really tall and very elastic the way that you're jumping. We want to be low in this position. So this stride, your left, is the most important thing. And we need to be low and fast off of this stride. So you're actually pushing upwards. So if I look at your head, see how it's going up, kind of like towards the top of the porta potty?
Yeah.
If I draw a line right here, the head should travel downward, and yours is actually going upward, which means you're pushing vertically off of this step. When we want to roll, I always say like roll your knee to the floor, right? And what that does is it helps you lower your center of mass as well as push off of, specifically, I like to tell guys to push right here and drive their knee. Okay, so push through the toe of that left leg and drive your right knee forward. And what that'll do is it'll just place you forward, and it'll also ensure that you're in a low position. So I'm going to go ahead and pull up one of Isaiah's videos here because that'll be another really good illustration of good jump technique. So let's go YouTube. He's pretty good, I think. Go back a few frames here. So what I want you to notice is how far Isaiah displaces. And I will tell you this is semi-related to your ability as an athlete. So your force generating capacity or your fitness level heavily dictates this, but look at where he's planting his foot. So that's on his penultimate step. That's the most important step. All right. So when we go back to your video, what you'll notice is you're actually planting. Let's see if I can find it right here. Oh, I just had it. Here it is. So I'm going to look, I'm going to share my whole screen and you can see side by side. So now I'm going to go to the same frame for each of you guys. So Isaiah is in full foot support. So look, full foot support and the foot is coming through. Obviously, you don't have quite as much speed, but let's say we're about here, right? So what do you notice in the posture of these two positions as we kind of click through here is Isaiah is going to be lower. And not only that, he's going to keep lowering. So watch his head as it gets lower to the ground. Lower, 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 still lower, right? So look now, he's still lowering, lower, 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 still going down, still going down, still going down, still lowering, still lowering. Now he's coming back up, right? So you can see he's traveling down. So because you're not running very fast, you're relying on that negative vertical velocity to load your legs in a stretch shortening cycle, which is disadvantageous. We want to, so the lowering happens during this mid support and not during what we call mid flight. So this is mid flight of the penultimate step into the plant. So now you're coming down. Look, now you start transitioning upwards. So I want you to look at the position that you're in here compared to the position that Isaiah is in. Oh, that is, oh, yes, less than ideal. So we're going to go to, so literally as his foot hit, that's where he starts coming back up. So this is his lowest position right here, right as his block foot hits, and then he starts moving vertically. And we're going to go back to yours, and we're going to see when you start moving vertically. So your block foot hits, you're coming up maybe even a bit early there. We start coming up. So when we look at the configuration here, Isaiah's got, I don't know, 20 to 30 degrees more flexion in this left leg. That's the plant leg. Your plant leg, you're in quite a bit of like your knee is fairly extended. So we want to get you in a lower configuration so you can push up better and longer. And then the other thing that we want to do is we want to add speed so you can use this block foot. So what I'd recommend doing is just working on rolling lower in this phase of your penultimate step right here. So film yourself, and even if you lower 6 inches, it's going to make a drastic difference. That's going to be a huge amount of impulse that you can increase. And you can think about if you were to throw a baseball, right? If you add 6 inches more of a windup, you're going to be able to throw that ball way harder. And the same thing's true in this analogy or this illustration here. If you're lower, you're going to be able to push up way longer, which is going to let you jump higher. So I would focus on that first before we really start focusing on off dribble and stuff like that. That's a little ways away, but even if you want to it's tough right now. I wouldn't recommend doing walkthroughs, but when you can do walkthroughs, that's what you really want to focus on is making sure that you're low as you're coming in. So it's like a low lunge. It almost feels like a low lunge whenever you're walking through it. When it's faster, it's not going to feel like that, but it'll at least create some context for you as you take steps forward in this, we call it chunking or blocking motor learning. So yeah, you've done lunges before, right?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so imagine you're doing a lunge, right? And I said, hey, I want you to do a low lunge. You could visualize that, right? What a low lunge would feel like, where your body's low the whole time.
Yes, yes.
So that is what it feels like.
Yeah, I get it. I
One
just
cue that I have found has helped myself and a lot of people is imagine you're in a place with a really low ceiling. Like imagine the ceiling is like however tall, probably like 5 feet, I would say.
Yeah,
Start
four and a
high.
half.
The
I don't
ceiling
know.
is right here. So
Okay.
you start high, but then as you roll, there's like it's almost like a tunnel, and you have to like go under it like that, right? You can't. You're gonna hit your head if you stay high. So imagine that. We should make something like that, like,
Yeah.
like a freaking just put like a
Oh, we
tent.
could just get two PVC pipes and a string and
Remember we did that with
maybe.
Ben?
yeah, we
Okay.
did. He struggled. Yeah, you're jumping up. It is a jump, but it's like a jump forward. It's like a low bound. It's like you're
Okay.
rolling. It's like you're doing a bound, but you're like bounding down into the ground. It's a very unique motor pattern that's really only specific to 2 foot jumping. You don't really do it. Maybe in basketball, like coming off a screen into a jump shot is somewhat similar because like you're getting ready to take the shot, right? But
Yeah.
outside of that, it's I don't know, there's not much like it, I would say,
I
Isaiah,
actually think that's why a lot of basketball players have really good jump technique because you
because
drill
they're used to,
like when you go around a screen, or like a curl and you like catch the ball, it's the exact same action. Like you
yep.
lower into the ground and
Yep. I watched Steph do it when I watched the Golden State
yeah.
Warriors play, and it was like
Because if you
perfect.
think about it, the point in basketball is to get a shot off as quickly as possible. You would waste so much time. If guys jumped up around a screen,
Yeah.
like it would waste so much
It
time.
would, yeah. Yehor, if you want to look at some examples of this, I'll leave you with this real quick if I can find. Should I do like Steph coming off a screen or something like that?
Yeah, into a jump shot.
All right, so you can see as he's coming off this screen here, right? And he's coming to catch this pass. Look how you can't really see because the quality's kind of bad, but he's already low, right? You can see his
Yeah,
knee is semi-bent.
yeah.
So he's already low. He maintains that low position because as he catches this, this is his penultimate step right here.
Okay.
So this stride, he's already low. He's in the semi-bent position, semi-squat position, plants that foot, and he's already traveling. See how he's already low? He's already loaded up to take that shot. And that's like quite the angle. But that's a good illustration of what it kind of looks like
Wonder,
in a different context.
I wonder if Ray Allen was known for having like he jumped really high on his shots.
How low he was coming in, probably really, really low. I mean, these
Yeah,
are all good examples. Like these are
yeah.
really all good examples of him. There you go. There's another one. It's like as he's stepping into that, pass, receiving the pass, he's going to come off the screen and you're going to see how low he is. Look, comes off the screen, already low, turns into it and shoots every time. Really good video to kind of create some context on what being low is and coming in low so that you're ready to push upwards out of the jump. So right now you're doing like a jump stop. We need you to be low, like you're coming off a screen. That is all we have time for here, Yehor. So if you have other questions or whatever else, you can send them in the chat. And then for next time, I would schedule your call ASAP, and then we'll be ready for the next one. Keep
Okay.
on top of the ISOs and stay in the loop here with us. Get good data for us to look at next week.